Cardano has officially entered the Voltaire era with governance taking full effect. We're anticipating the Plowman hard fork, which will be bootstrapping and letting the community finally take over when it comes to the development and just the guiding direction of Cardano. So as a part of today's video, if you're new, I want to break down everything that you need to know to get involved. What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's video, I'm going to give you guys a brief refresher and a brief recap as to how you can participate within governance here on Cardano. So if you aren't aware, we're officially in the Voltaire era. We've got the Cardano Constitutional Convention, which has just wrapped up in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where the majority of the community has come to a point of agreement in basically ratifying the draft constitution, making that now final for the mainnet. Now we're also anticipating the Plowman hard fork. Of course, rest in peace to Matthew Plowman here, one of the bigger contributors to the USDM, or the fiat-backed stablecoin developed here by Moneta. And that said, we need more people to just participate within governance. So as we're now jumping into the bootstrapping phase of governance, we're going to start to see the different roles for governance coming into effect. And I want to take an opportunity to briefly recap some of that information here with you. So if it's your first time stopping by the channel, welcome in. I definitely do appreciate it if you guys would be able to smash that thumbs up. It's one of the easiest ways to support me as a content creator. If you want more content like this, breaking down everything with respect to governance on Cardano, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please go ahead and leave those down below. Now, if you want to extend your support just a little bit further, I am a single stake pool operator. So I'd appreciate it if you would consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. So without any further ado, let's jump right on in here. The first thing I want to do is just recap some of the governance roles here, because again, I've received a couple of emails and a lot of questions about what governance is, what it means, and how people can finally participate. So generally speaking, we've got 4 or 5 roles if you want to be a little bit more technical. The first is what we call DReps, or delegate representatives. These are basically members that act as elected officials within the Cardano ecosystem, and you as an ADA holder are able to delegate your ADA voting power straight to them, and basically allowing them to sort of use your voice, right? Or to vote on your behalf in any of the 7 or 8 different governance proposals or the proposal actions, which I'll be breaking down here in just a moment. So that's the first role there. That's the delegate representatives. Now we also have the Constitutional Committee, right? Which their goal is relatively simple. It's to make sure that anytime that a Cardano governance action comes in, that particular action abides, right? Or basically assumes all of the criteria that the Cardano Constitution has laid out. Now, if anything goes against that, it's their job and their duty to vote against that particular action. So we need the sign off from the Constitutional Committee for any action before it can actually be confirmed or executed on chain. Next, we have stake pool operators, or SPOs, which are essentially the backbone here when it comes to security or securing the Cardano ecosystem. So they're also able to voice their vote. And again, we'll be breaking down exactly who can vote for what type of action in just a moment. Last but definitely not least, we have just your general delegating ADA holders. And then of course, we've got non-delegating ADA holders, basically anybody who's choosing not to participate within governance. Now, I just mentioned the fact that when it comes to Catalyst in my last video, that we've seen low turnout, and that's because a lot of people don't understand how to actually get involved. And so again, hopefully content like this helps you to better understand governance and hopefully actually begin to deploy your ADA either as a direct voter or as a delegate representative, or through a delegate representative to allow for them to vote on your behalf. So as I move over here, I want to break down some of the existing actions that we have the ability to sort of contribute to with respect to Cardano governance. The first is a motion of no confidence. And this is basically put in place anytime that the community feels like the Cardano Constitutional Committee isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, meaning that we just basically have to stop everything and figure out what's going on with the Constitutional Committee before executing or before dealing with any additional action. Now, who can actually vote on that particular action? Well, only the DReps and the SPOs can vote on that. Obviously, if we're taking a vote of no confidence because we don't feel confident in the current members staffed on the CC, we don't want them being involved in that particular vote. So that's this particular portion here, the motion of no confidence. Next, we have the new constitutional committee and or quorum percentage change. Again, this allows for us to basically add in new members to the constitutional committee. And it also allows for us to change the thresholds that are needed to be met before an actual vote can either be passed or denied. Again, the DReps can vote for this and the SPOs can vote for this, but because it involves the constitutional committee itself, none of those members are allowed to vote for that particular action. Next, we have the updates to the Constitution, right? Which again, allows for anybody to add language or to remove language from the current Constitution. And that is for the DReps and the CC to vote on. So any SPOs, right, you're basically excluded from voting on that particular type of action. Next, we have the hard fork initiation action, which all three of the key pieces of governance can actually vote for. So that's the DReps, the Constitutional Committee, and the SPOs. And then we've also got the protocol parameter change, which we have in terms of eligibility, the DReps and the CC who can vote for that. And then we've got any withdrawals from the Treasury. So keep in mind that as an ADA holder, we've got over, I want to say, $1 billion within the current Treasury as it stands. And it's up to us, right, to basically govern that. So anytime that somebody puts out a proposal that wants to withdraw from that, we'll have the DReps and the CC voting as to whether or not that should actually happen. Now, last but not least, we have the info action, which basically is just a way to capture information on chain. It doesn't necessarily change anything, but it's just a way to sort of record keep where the DReps and the CC can go ahead and vote on that. Now, if you want to find out more about the actual protocol parameters that can be changed, I've got a list of that here at the very bottom right-hand corner. So again, hopefully it helps to sort of summarize governance here within Cardano and exactly how you guys can get involved. As a brief summary, we've got the Constitutional Committee, whose job it is to make sure that things are constitutional. Next, we've got the delegate representatives acting as elected officials. And then we have the SPOs or stake pool operators. And then again, in closing, we have the general ADA holders who can choose to delegate to a DRep, or they can become a direct voter using their own ADA and voting on their own in any of these 7 or 8 types of proposal actions. So that said, and that aside, if you actually want to go ahead and participate in governance, here's exactly how you can go ahead and do that. First and foremost, head over to Gov.Tools. This is the one-stop shop platform that you're going to want to go ahead and check out as it pertains to just viewing the active DRep directory, meaning that you can view all the active DReps. They've got a summary, they've got some of their social media links, and they basically have some of their core beliefs listed there. That way you can get a better understanding of exactly how they'll be potentially voting in future governance actions. In addition, on Gov.Tools, we've got the actual governance actions that are currently in play, as well as a proposals form. And then of course, they've got guides and frequently asked questions. We can go ahead and get some help there if you need it. So looking at the front page here, once you actually connect your wallet, which I'll jump into in just a moment, you have the ability to delegate your voting power, again, to a DRep here. You also have the ability to become a DRep, which does require 500 ADA in order to register, but it's relatively simple. And then you can also become a direct voter, again, making sure that you're not delegating to a DRep, but taking the time to actually vote on your own, right? Which obviously takes a little bit of time there. And then you have the ability to view governance actions and then also propose a potential governance action. Now looking here, if you want to quickly connect your wallet, you can click on the Connect Wallet button. And by default, you can quickly use the Lace wallet extension. They've got support for Eternal and NuFi. Now, if you're using Eternal, they actually have some governance features built in directly within their wallet. So you can actually register to become a DRep directly from within the Eternal wallet. However, it is a little bit more nuanced or complicated. But if you want to take sort of the easier road here, you can just connect your wallet straight from the Gov.Tools platform. Now, in terms of compatibility, let me just punch in here just a little bit. We have support for Eternal, Lace, NuFi, Vesper, Typhon, Yoroi, the Ledger hardware wallet, the Trezor hardware wallet, as well as the Keystone wallet. Now, Flint has unfortunately been sunset. And then because IOG has recently picked up the Nami wallet, you actually can now go from Nami straight to Lace. And again, that said, Nami will not be compatible with this particular Gov.Tools website. So I wanted to quickly at least highlight which wallets are available for you to use if you want to go ahead and participate within governance. So that aside, if I now jump over to the governance actions tab, we have all of the current or all of the active governance actions, which right now there's really only one. And of course, this is to rename the Chang hard fork part number 2 to the Plomin hard fork following Matthew Plomin's recent passing. Now, if I open this up here, we can see that we've got all of the details about the type of governance action that this is, when this was submitted, when this expires. And then on the right-hand side here, we have all of the different voters or all of the different stakeholders and exactly how they voted so far. So looking at the right-hand side there, we've got 37% of the DReps voting in favor of the rename. We've got 2% basically stating no, with the remainder abstaining to vote. And then in terms of SPOs, again, we've got the majority of them in favor of this rename. And then the Constitutional Committee not having any issues with this particular action. Now, if you want to find out more about the actual DReps themselves and who you can delegate to, they do have the DRep Directory here, and you can actually sort based off of the registration date of when the DRep signed up, the amount of voting power that they have, or their current status. Keep in mind that you can go from being an active DRep to being an inactive DRep, right? And so you want to go ahead and just double check that. Number one, whoever you've delegated your ADA to is up to date and that they're actually voting in terms of where you would want to vote. But the number two, that they're staying active and that they're still registered as a DRep. So again, this is where you can find out more about the active DReps. For example, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Waffle Capital DRep here. Here on this next page, we've got all the information about the Waffle Capital DRep. Again, if I were to choose to delegate my ADA or my voting power to them, they'd be basically voting on my behalf. Again, so here I can see their motivations, their qualifications, any important links, etc. Relatively simple and pretty easy to go ahead and get involved with here. So you want to find out who you're, supporting. And then once you've got your wallet connected, you can quickly and go ahead and delegate your ADA or your voting power to that particular DRep. Now, if I jump back over here, we have the proposals tab, where from here I can quickly view some of the active discussions or some of the proposals before they actually hit the network or hit the main net. And from here, you can basically jump in, add comments. You can basically refute or rebut different types of conversations or different types of proposals. And again, this is basically open for anybody, right, to begin to get involved with respect to governance. And so as I get ready to wind things down here, we've got one last tab, which is the guides section. And from here, you can go ahead and basically just find out more about exactly how to use Gov.Tools, what some of these roles are, how to become a direct voter, how to basically delegate your ADA voting power. All of the stuff that I've basically just mentioned is recapped and covered here directly from the guides page on Gov.Tools. So I believe that will bring us here to a close for today's update. Again, I've received a lot of questions and comments about how to get involved with governance. Hopefully this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. With that said, that'll do it here. Again, if you found this to be informational, if you've learned anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, breaking down everything going on in Cardano, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please go ahead and leave those down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.